Hey, everybody, it's Tim and Steve from Phantom History House. How are you, Steve, tonight?
I am good. I'm happy to be back on House Calls.
That's right. We haven't been here in a while, so thanks, everybody, for being here. Thanks for watching Phantom History House Calls. All right, so everybody, we're really happy to be back on live, and we're going to be here now every Wednesday evening at 7 Eastern for, we hope, going on from here. So how are you?
I am good. The past couple of weeks, we had some conflicts, had some travel, so it's good to be back here. And it's been a lot of fun lining up the guests for the next few weeks as we enter spooky season, which officially starts here at Phantom History House this weekend.
This weekend, everybody, we're starting with all the stuff is happening. Starts tomorrow with Book Club.
Yes, Book Club. We were talking about Rosemary's Baby, and Tim has made an amazing Oreo cheesecake.
I did. I made an Oreo cheesecake, and I made it orange. And just for Halloween. So it's going to be interesting to see what everybody thinks. I'm not sure if they're going to like the orange color to it, because it's just a regular cheesecake with Oreos and an Oreo crust, which is delicious, I think. But anyway, so hopefully you'll be at one here. If you're coming this weekend, you can tell me what you think. I'm not sure what people think about it.
Well, if they don't eat it, I will. So it'll be totally fine.
Yeah, well, that part. And then on Friday, we officially really crank up with Big Time.
Yes, we bring back the Oldsmar Ghost Tour. We've already sold a few tickets. So if you're around and want to take a walking tour of Haunted Oldsmar, you can join us at 7:30. We meet at City Hall. And you can also go ahead and get your tickets online. And Ginger Tartazuski will be leading that tour for us this weekend. So we're excited to do that.
And if you're watching live right now, hey, thanks for watching. Put in the comments where you're watching from. And thank you so much for being here tonight. And Big Time on Friday, our first seance of the season.
Actually, you're exactly right. We haven't had a seance here since May, I think was the last time Mama was here.
We are due for a seance.
We are due for spirits have been lonely. So Mama, Brian Kowalski is back here on Friday. And interestingly, the open seance is sold out. However, if you book a room, we do hold back a couple of tickets for people who spend the night.
That's
we
right.
Have a couple of rooms available.
So if you want to come to the seance, all you have to do is just book a room for the night. Just check in with us. We'll make sure that happens. And of course, there are a few spots for readings open still.
I think there's four 15-minute slots available during the day between 3 and 7 to have tarot card readings, crystal ball readings with Mama. You can select which one you'd like to do.
Hey, Kristen's watching, and Kelly. Hey, so glad you guys are here. So if you can come this weekend, and of course on Saturday night, Ghost Stories by the Fire, the first one of those.
Yes, we're going to be back outside. We did a test run with the fire pit yesterday. Didn't go great. We got to get some dry wood.
That's why we did a test run.
So yeah, we'll be telling ghost stories again. Of course, there's s'mores, and it's supposed to have good weather. It's supposed to be in the 70s and clear skies. So hopefully we'll be able to actually get a little bit close to the fire, which will be nice.
Absolutely. And we're got a couple more things to say, but everybody, we're here talking about the power of positive thinking with life coach, life guru, Carla Vaughan. So she will be on shortly.
Yes.
But next week, very exciting things happening here at Phantom History House. But first off, and let me say, everybody, you have to come stay with us and be here during this whole spooky season. At some point, you need to come, make a visit. There's all kinds of stuff going on. You can see it on our event calendar on our website.
Yeah, and we've been decorating since Labor Day weekend.
Yeah,
and we're still not done.
I'm surprised you're doing as well as you are tonight, because he was out in the sun a lot today because we had to put some decorations in the back.
Yes, we're decorating the backyard as well this year, which we did not do last year.
That's right.
So it's all coming together. We're in the power cord. Excited for you to get dark later, and we can check it out and see how it looks.
Yeah, so that's all happening. But next week, the book.
Yes.
Right? We're talking about the book?
Phantom Menagerie.
Is it time to talk about the book?
Phantom Menagerie is out. We've already had some sales on Amazon. Which
is now the time. Should I show it?
Show it. We had our shipment come in last week.
There it is, everybody. The book is here. We actually have copies of the book. Yay!
Yes, and we have them.
That means you are now
a
published author. You are. Steve has a story.
I am one of the 16 authors that are in the book, where authors came in, toured the house, and wrote short horror stories about 16 objects here in the house. And those are just some of the featured authors that we have listed on the cover. And we do have copies of the book here that you can buy when you are here, when some of the authors are here at our launch party, or you can order it on Amazon, get it shipped to you, and bring it with you.
So you can go to Amazon right now and order your copy and have it shipped to you. It happens pretty fast when you order just one.
Yeah,
they get that pretty quick.
Yeah, they do get that quick.
But next Saturday, if you are in the area, we hope that you will join us for our big launch party.
Yes, and if you want to find the link, and Kristen just asked, where can we buy? If you go to phantomhistory.com/books, we have a direct link to not only this book, but to Tim's Marching Band book as well. So,
which of course,
and our goal is to put more books on there. So,
but if you just go to our website, along the top menu bar, there's now a thing that says books.
Yes,
and that's where you can click that, and you'll have a link to go straight to Amazon and find it, or you can just search for Phantom History on Amazon if you want to go to those extra steps. We are so proud and excited about this. Yeah. So here it is. You can get your own copy when you come here. You can get your own copy on Amazon.
And the party is from 2 to 6 o'clock next Saturday. And we will have a lot of the authors here. Not all of them, but most of them will be here to sign copies.
And I am planning to make another cheesecake. Now, whether it's going to be orange, I don't know. We're going to see what the reviews are like this week. I'm not insulted if people are like,
it's going to be good.
I don't care.
It's going to be good.
It's going to taste good, I think, either way. All right.
And hello to some of the folks that are watching us on Instagram as well. Edward Peeler's watching, who's one of our featured authors.
That's right. He's in the book. Anthology. That's right. He wrote one of the stories.
Yeah. And somebody is coming by on VW75 is coming by on Friday. He's going to get a reading with Mama.
Oh, yay.
And also is going to pick up a book. So looking forward to see you then. But enough about that. I think we should bring our guests.
Is it time to get on to the topic at hand?
It is time.
Are you ready to make your life better? Are you ready to be more positive? Are you ready to solve all of the problems that, not that we have any?
Well, I will say this. Okay, full disclosure. Our guest tonight, Carla Vaughan, is a life coach, and she has been my best friend for almost 30 years. And I can say this, even before she got her license or certification as a life coach, she has helped me through a lot of stuff
in my
life, both professionally and personally. So
she is really good at this.
She's really good.
Should we bring her on before we talk her up too much?
We should bring her on.
Okay, so everybody, ask your questions for Carla. Here she is, Carla Vaughan. Hey, Carla, thanks for being
here. Hi, everybody.
Thanks for being with us tonight, Carla. It's good to see you.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
So before we dive in,
wait a minute. I have to. Oh, wait. I want to. You're in a spooky place. Thank you for getting the mood right. What did you do?
I got to be in the Phantom History vibe. Phantom, bed and breakfast. Let's bring the spooky. It's spooky season. Let's go.
It is spooky season.
All right, so I interrupted you, so go ahead now.
Oh, no, that's good. And before we jump in, I just want to let Kristen know. She was asking next Saturday is in the 21st or the 28th. So the 28th is the launch party for the book. This weekend on the 21st is Ghost Stories by the Fire.
That's right. So it's all, just go to phantomhistory.com, click on events, and all of it's listed right there. But that's a good question. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
So now to Carla.
Yeah.
Ask her to introduce herself?
Yeah, introduce yourself, Carla, and tell us a little bit about what a life coach does and what it is.
Well, the name of my company is Badass Problem Solver. So I approach coaching probably a little different than most. One of my clients, who I think is on the live tonight, says I do the full human experience. So I use past experience, knowledge, intuition. I use a lot of intuition. I try to read the entire whole person and what they might be going through and get to the absolute core of the problem. And then, boom, we're on the way. Now we're working towards solutions to get them where they want to go.
Love it. And I feel like everybody needs this kind of help, right? Some people can find a friend that they can talk to and get this kind of thing with. Some people will hire therapists. There's all kinds of ways to do this, but hiring a life coach to help you figure out the best way to move forward, what things are that might be blocking you, how to make the right decisions. I feel like everybody needs this kind of help.
I agree. And the thing about going to friends is they can be wonderful. They can be fabulous. It's a nice outlet. However, they're invested in your life. So people can only see us as they see through their own lens. So when they're embedded in your life, they might not see it as clearly as somebody objective that has the skill set for it and is looking at it from the outside in.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. They're like an impartial. They can be completely separate and impartial.
Which I know is why a lot of people go to see a therapist, for example. And I'm curious, what is the difference between a life coach versus like a therapist? How do you differentiate? There's
a lot of talk around this topic. My opinion is that I have clients that have a therapist and have me as their life coach, because a therapist will kind of dig around in your psyche. They have very boilerplate kind of questions and things that they do like a certain way. With life coaching, we are trying to find our way forward. We're going to start from this point now, and we're going to move you forward to where you want to go. It's kind of like a basketball coach, right? You have the kids that don't know how to dribble, and you start teaching them a skill. And then we figure out what skills we need. I help people build a toolbox that help them get through all kinds of problems that show up in their life so they can figure what tool they're going to pull out of the toolbox that day to use to help them get over that problem or this thing that happened or that hard conversation. A therapist doesn't really do that. We deal a lot with communication and, you know, how you handle yourself in the world and what kind of things really kind of trigger you. It's kind of, it's different. It can mirror itself at times, but it's quite a bit different.
Yeah, and I want to remind everybody who's watching, I do see your questions come in, and feel free to keep dropping those in the comments. As we get a few more of those, we'll ask those to Carla for you. One of the focuses we wanted to talk about tonight was, and what we're calling this is the power of positivity. And, you know, again, full disclosure, I've known you for so long. You've always been a very positive person, even with some of your own crazy personal challenges that you've gone through that I went through with you. And in fact, we went to an event yesterday where you spoke about some of your own life challenges and things. And your whole message was about how being positive can impact your journey and also come to a better outcome. I wondered if you could expand on that a little bit. And how does positivity work?
Well, before I got paralyzed with Guillain-Barré syndrome, I knew that positivity could help make life easier, right? And it could make hard times easier, and it could make good times elevated, even better, right? So positivity crosses the board. What I didn't realize until I got hurt was positivity can actually help us heal. That positivity leads to gratitude, and gratitude leads to joy, and positivity can help us heal. Gratitude can help us heal. Joy can help us heal. All three of those emotions raise our vibration, and that all helps us to heal. You know, and if we get a good enough mindset about something, we can actually take that pain and we can turn it into power. And we can use that power to help us heal emotionally and physically. We can use that power to help propel us forward in our own life. And absolutely, most importantly, we can use that power to help other people.
Which is exactly what you have done throughout your career and what you have absolutely done since you've had this amazing recovery post Guillain-Barré syndrome. And I remember you and I having that conversation during this journey that you went through about, and you said something about this the other day, how you had to put your ego aside and your soul led. I think that's how you said that. Yeah,
because when I was paralyzed, you know, I lost all the movement, all the things you have to think about, the way you present yourself in the world. So when that happened, when you can't toilet yourself or feed yourself or walk, it even hit my vocal cords. I couldn't talk for a while, which was everybody's favorite part. But it forces your ego to sit down in the back seat, and then your soul begins to lead. And I realized that's the way to live. The way to live is letting your soul lead. It's lighter, brighter. It knows more. It helps you accomplish more. Like to put the ego down and let your soul lead. That was a big lesson I got out of being paralyzed.
Yeah, go ahead. I know you were going to.
No, that's good. I'm good. I'm not sure everybody really that's watching yet knows your story. I think you sort of alluded to what happened. The fact that you were
paralyzed.
But it's you've made an amazing recovery, and I do think that, you know, I sort of watched from the sidelines as all of that was going down, and I think it's really hard to be positive when things seem so bad, right? When you're really struggling, you're really in pain, you're really hurting. I feel like that is, I think if you, I feel like if you have a habit of trying to find the positive and live from this sort of place that you're describing, then you're ready when the bad things come, that it sort of comes a little more naturally. It's really hard to build that in the middle of a crisis.
Yes and no. Yes and no, because I was a pretty positive person going into it, but when it hit me and I was struck with this, there was an overwhelming knowing of being positive and pushing forward is the only way I'm going to get out of this. So you get to a place where things are really bad and really dark, and you've either got to succumb to the dark or you got to go to the light. You really only have those two roads.
So you felt like at that moment you were like, I have to find a way to be positive and hopeful and as a path forward. You felt like if you didn't do that, that you would maybe get stuck in the mire of it all.
Yeah, I was afraid I would die if I wasn't positive enough and didn't push myself forward enough.
Well, and again, I was like right there next to you during all this, so it brings back a lot of memories. But I want to
couldn't have done it without you.
Well, thank you.
It's really true.
Two things. We laughed a lot during this whole journey that we went on because some of the stuff that you went through was so ridiculous. The only thing we could do was laugh. One of my favorite stories is when you fell on the front porch and I went to come pick you up and I was standing on your hand and couldn't figure out why I couldn't pick you up. It's because my big foot was on your hand. So things like that kind of happened. But I also want to point out that, and get your thought on this, because there were some times where we both had tough days, and it's okay to have those though, right? It's okay to have those down days if the overall arc's positive, right?
Right. Here's what I tell my clients. Listen, we are human beings. We're spiritual beings having a human experience, right? So in that human experience, we are going to have sadness and pain and trouble and turmoil. It's part of what we came here to do, to learn, to evolve our soul, right? And in that process, we're going to have all those emotions. The key is don't unpack and live there. You're just passing through that emotion. Do not unpack and live there.
I like that kind of visualization of that because it's part of this journey. The world that we live in is insane. All around us, there's insanity. You turn on any app, you turn on the news, there's all kinds of craziness going on. Is that something that your clients have a challenge with because there's so much negativity just out in the world in general? And how do you cope with that?
I have a couple of clients that we talk a lot about. We pick up energy we don't realize we're picking up from other places that we intake visually, just energetically. We could go in the supermarket to buy oranges and somebody's got bad energy that kind of, so I teach my clients that when you're feeling something, first ask, am I feeling this? Or is this coming at me from somewhere? Is it external or is it internal? And if it's external, visualize like a translucent dome swirling around you, and you're like cleaning your energy and you're calling your power back and you only want what belongs to you. And then whoosh. Yeah. Sometimes you'll feel better. Some people get anxiety and it's not even theirs. It doesn't even belong to them.
This is interesting. This sounds a lot like when we have conversations with the psychics who come here to Phantom History House. They talk a lot about how they kind of have to build that wall so that they can relay information to their client, but they don't want to absorb anything from them and take it with them. So it's kind of like
they talk a lot about creating boundaries and putting up boundaries when they do their work, and that seems very similar. I agree with you.
Yeah. So, and I do call you Psychic Sally sometimes, so that totally ties in. I wanted to get to some of the questions we have coming in on the comments. This is an interesting question from Kristen. How did you get interested in your line of work? How did this all come about?
Well, that's an interesting story. I was working with mentally handicapped children. I was the out service coordinator. it was a nonprofit, and the government cut their funding, and I got let go from that job. So a friend of mine read tarot cards, and she said, come over, have dinner. I'll read your tarot cards. We'll have a nice, relaxing energy, because I didn't know what I wanted to do next. She was reading my tarot cards, and she said, oh, that's it. You are already doing it. You're just not getting paid for it. I said, what? She said, a life coach. So then I began to research it. I'm like, wowza, that's me, 1,000%. And then I went and got certified, and the rest is history.
And that was a while ago, right? That was what, 20-ish years ago?
When did we live in Arcadia?
It's 2004.
Ooh, we're giving away our age. Hello.
You were just tiny little children when you moved there. It was like
just teeny bots. We were just teenagers.
We're hanging out in the elementary school playground.
I chose my career when I was 12.
Y'all are amazing.
Well, I like what Sue had to say. Her advice is eat dessert first and argue with your spouse naked. Sound advice. Okay,
I'm going to incorporate that into my business. Is it okay with her if I use it?
Yeah, we'll just send her a follow-up message just to make sure it's okay. That's not
argue with your spouse naked. I've never heard that advice before.
Yeah, I haven't either. I've heard don't go to bed angry. Because if you sleep naked, I mean, that's a whole other thing. But we'll get off track.
Is it bad that I'm thinking about those Nordic aliens? Yes,
it is.
All right, we're moving on. Moving on. Nobody knows what I'm talking about. Moving on.
That was another episode.
Okay.
So another question we had come through. And again, remember, if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them into the chat.
Please do.
Kristen has a follow-up. Do you ever, you talked about your toolbox, and I think this is where this came from. Do you ever find that people have bad tools that they need to replace? And how does that process work? Good question.
The primary thing I run into is everybody, we don't talk to anyone any more than we talk to ourselves. And everybody has self-talk tapes playing in their mind. So what happens is it's not as much a bad tool as it is probably bad self-talk. So we start to rewrite those tapes that you're playing for yourself in the way that you talk to yourself, and then the right tools begin to formulate.
That's good advice. I think that's true, because we do have our inner, sometimes we have to learn a new inner monologue. Yeah. If our inner parent is super judgy, and we have to figure out how to reframe that. That's good. I like that.
Yeah, my rule for my clients is this. The rule is, if you would not say it to someone else, do not say it to yourself. Because most of the things we say to ourselves, we would never say to another human being.
So what's an example of something like we may say to ourselves that we wouldn't say to others?
You're ugly. Look how bad your eyebrows are. You know, look at what your chin looks like. Like, look what your arms look like. You know, like things that we say to ourselves. Or I don't know if you should apply for that job. You're dumb. You would never say that to another person.
Right.
You know?
We are our own worst critic. So that makes, I can understand that. Yeah.
And our subconscious can only hear us.
Right. Right.
Our subconscious can't hear anyone else, only us.
Well, and it's, I think that, and again, I'm not certified in this at all, but I mean, that could lead to a circle of depression, I would think too, right? If you're constantly berating yourself, that could lead you to a dark place, right?
Yes. Depression can be mental. There are physical aspects to depression as well. It's not always, just what we're saying, but that does have a great deal to do with it.
This is a good question that just came in from Susan. And sorry, I was listening to you, but I was reading questions at the same time too. Susan is asking, how do we set up a session with you, and what is the typical cost for your services that you provide? Good question.
I'll give a discount to my normal rate's $125 per session. Anybody on this live gets $75 sessions. And you can hit me up on my social medias. It's Badass Problem Solver on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
And
it's very generous. Thank you, Carla. That's very cool.
And I know that Valerie has shared with on here that her toolbox gets used daily. And she says, thank you, Carla Vaughan. And again, I know that you and I have worked through some stuff too, and I can definitely vouch for the sound advice that you get. And I also like the way that you do it is very conversational. Like, I think when people think of any kind of therapy, they picture like an 80s TV show where somebody's laying on a couch and they have somebody writing in a tablet. That's not your process at all. I mean, I know you take notes and you pay attention, but you do them virtually and you do them in person, right? Your sessions?
No, just virtually.
Just virtually. Okay.
Yeah, I stopped doing any in-person at COVID and just never went back to that, especially from the paralysis and couldn't drive. And so it all continued and it's only virtual.
So how long is my conversation with you going to be if I had a session with you?
45 minutes to an hour. If at the 45-minute mark, I always leave room in my schedule. If we really are drilling down on something and there is a good flow and something we need to finish, we'll run up to an hour. But they typically last 45 minutes.
So it's like a Zoom call. We would call in, we're talking to each other, and it's basically a conversation that we're having back and forth, asking questions, etc.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
So this can be, I mean, sharing about yourself can be very scary for a lot of people. What is your advice to those people who could use some guidance, want to have that conversation, but are terrified of talking about themselves? How do you get past that?
Well, humor. That's how I get you past that. So we start out with a whole bunch of funny, and we get you comfortable with what you're comfortable with, if that makes sense. You might be comfortable telling me one thing, but not another. Now, my intuition will probably know, and I'll wind up getting around to that, but I'll take my time getting you there because, people got to get there when they're ready. But you'll know, and there's a comfortability level, and that's why I offer a free 15-minute introductory, just to see if we're a good fit. You're going to know in that 15 minutes when we just chat with each other if I'm the right coach for you, and I'll know if you're a good fit as a client for me, because it's got to be a win-win.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, you have to have the personalities that work well together and somebody you're comfortable sharing with. So, and, going back to the positivity part, the humor and kind of breaking the ice is a big part of that. But not to say that the whole session is not like a stand-up routine, obviously.
No, it can get real deep, real serious. It depends on what we're working on. It might stay light. The session can come in and out of those things. It's all about a flow of things, and it's about what's coming forth for the client.
Yeah, that's good. And if people have not used a life coach before, is this something where I do like a one session, or is it a whole series of sessions, or does it depend on what I need?
It depends on what you need. If you're having a little bit of a relationship problem, you're just having trouble making a decision, we might be able to just knock that out in one session. If you're trying to build to something else, we're going to know when we talk maybe how long that'll take. I have clients that still reach out. We call them like a dust-off session where they're like, well, my self-talk got back to this, let's spruce it up a little bit, because we don't dust the shelves in our house once and we're done, right? We have to dust weekly. So sometimes life will build up on you like that, and then they can have a one-off session with me and kind of dust the shelves. And other times we work till we've worked all the way through the problem and gotten you through that. So it can vary wildly is, I guess, my answer.
Sure, that's a great answer, though, because that makes perfect sense. It's what each situation calls for.
Yeah.
And that's part of why I don't sell packages, because it's just, it's hard to do that. I don't want people to think and that's the difference between therapy and coaching is therapy, they kind of try to keep you in it, but coaching, we're trying to graduate you, know?
And I'm glad you said that, because this is a really good question that just came in for Valerie, asking who you talked about, the personalities meeting. Are you a good fit? Are they a good fit? So for you, who would be a good fit as a client for you? So what's your vibe with the client?
People who are ready to do the work, because I give homework. You will have homework to do. You have things to do. And some people just want somebody to agree with them, and they don't want to do the work. And the reason I don't take those clients is because it wastes their money and it wastes my energy. So that becomes a lose-lose instead of a win-win.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And like you said, they want to be able to do the work and they want to get to that point. But of course, you talked about graduating, but we're really never done with personal growth. It's something we do. What I've always thought, it's something we do till we die. Not that you would need a life coach for that whole span. So how do you know when somebody's ready to either dial back the sessions or say, you know what, I'll call you when I need you? Okay. What are the signs of that?
Based on the progress. You know, if somebody's got a lot, we'll use negative self-talk as an example. If somebody's got a lot of negative self-talk and they basically are talking to themselves negatively every 5 minutes, and then we get them to where they only say a couple negative things to themselves in a week, they're where they can go off on their own and do this. But then if there's emotional turmoil or something happens in their life that shakes them up and it kind of clicks them back to that, now we can start reworking them out of that. And it's always easier to rework out of that because then they have kind of muscle memory.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So I love that you're doing this work, and I appreciate it's important stuff for people. You're making a real difference in people's lives. So thank you for doing that. I do want to mention that sometimes you have been kind enough to step in and be sort of fill in as innkeeper for us if we had to be gone and we had some guests coming in. So what's that experience like, being here, waiting for guests to arrive and then helping them get settled in?
I love it. I love it. I love meeting the people that come through the door. Everybody that I've met has been spectacular that has come through the doors, and learning why they're there, where they're from, and are they spooky, are they not spooky. And then my favorite thing is the beds are so comfy. I always stay when I come out there. The beds are so comfy, and I love waking up to the nature and that beautiful backyard. It's just so serene and peaceful for me. I love that part a lot.
Well, and we've been very fortunate with having some amazing guests here, in the year and a half that we've been around. And the times you have been our backup innkeeper, people have always loved interacting with you. And we may not meet them till the next morning because we're either at an event or out of town or whatever's going on. And I know you tell them that, they'll meet us in the morning, but they're always just like, where's Carla? I'm like, well, you're stuck with us. She's either gone home or she's not downstairs yet. So we appreciate all the help that you give us whenever we have had to lean on.
I love it. Anytime. It's my favorite place to stay.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
So we have one last question, I think, that we want to send to Carla. So Kristen wants to know, how do you know that you could benefit from a life coach? What if there are not any particular problems to discuss?
Repeat that.
How do you know you could benefit from a life coach? What if you don't have any particular problems to discuss? Like if they don't have like this one issue that they're working on, but they're still curious about whether a life coach could be helpful to them.
Then the free 15-minute, and we could see what you're feeling like. I can read your energy. I can use my intuition. And maybe it's just that you don't have a problem, but you're maybe want to progress faster in certain areas of your life than you have, and we can come up with tricks and ways and things to do to help move you along in life faster of where you want to go. Forward movement. Coaching's all about forward movement.
Yeah, I love that answer because that's exactly what I was thinking too. Like everybody, even if things feel like things are going well, there's always something that you want to do better at. You want to grow in a certain area, get better in a certain area. I feel like everybody has things they want to continue to improve about themselves in their lives.
Yeah, improve or, kind of broaden your horizons a little bit, because it can be scary to try something new. Maybe that's on the back of your mind too. And I know we said that was the last question, but we did have one more come through. And this is a really good question, Valerie, and I'm glad you're asking this. You talked a lot about your tools in your toolbox. What is an example of a tool that's in your toolbox, and what's one of your favorite tools in that box? Good question.
I'm trying to think of Valerie's tools right now. One of the tools in the toolbox can be a lot of people have anxiety these days. Again, the news, this, that, picking up other people's energy. So anxiety is a thing, or just feeling stressed. So one of the big tools is figuring out things that actually slow down your nervous system. For some people, it's going for a walk. For other people, it's reading a book. For other people, it's taking a bath. So we try to build 2 to 5 tools in your toolbox that will help simmer down your nervous system, because that helps with a lot of problems you're going through. And then that would be a tool in your toolbox, is something that would help calm your nervous system that is particular to you.
Yeah, it's interesting you describe it that way, because I feel like that was when I was really working on my life and wanting to improve things and getting advice. I felt like there was the day came when I realized, when something came, that one of the regular stressors that used to throw me, and I realized, like, oh, there that is, and I know to do this. That's when I felt like I was really on the right track.
Awareness is key. That's a great point, Tim. That's another big thing we do in coaching, is we raise the emotional IQ. Sometimes people are feeling something, they can't even identify what it is, much less what to do about it. We're not taught these things. If we don't have the right examples growing up, this is something that should be taught in schools, so that you get the tools early to help you in life. And these are the things that really help.
Yeah, that's when I felt like I was really getting better, is when I started to do one of those things that I would do where I might spiral, and I was able to go, oh, I'm doing that thing. And it like took the power away from it. That was a really huge moment for me when I realized I had that ability, like you said, to sort of name it, recognize it, see it before I went down the spiral. And so I don't go down the spiral anymore, or not as often.
Talking about stressors, I'm sitting right here.
Because you cannot change what you do not acknowledge.
Very valid.
Wow. There's your takeaway, everybody. That's great.
Absolutely.
It's like you've done this before.
Exactly.
A time or two.
Well, Carla, I think this has been really interesting conversation.
Yeah. And one more time, Carla, if people do want to reach out, maybe schedule that 15-minute intro session or more. Tell us again where they can find you on socials. And of course, everybody, you can reach out to us and we can get you connected to her as well. But where can they find you and what do they look for?
They can message me on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok, and it is Badass Problem Solver.
Which I love that name, because and you have a tagline that goes with that too, right? Badass Problem Solver.
Let's solve the damn thing.
Love it.
That's fantastic. And everybody, thank you so much for watching tonight. We're going to be here every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern for the foreseeable future. And as we mentioned at the beginning, in case you didn't hear it, we are launching all of the spooky season stuff this week. We have a seance. We have Ghost Stories by the Fire. We have psychic readings. We have a book club.
Ghost tour.
Yes. All of that's happening just this weekend. And if you didn't see it, our new book, our anthology of short horror stories, short horror stories, one of which is Steve's. This is now available. You can get it at Amazon or go to our website and click on books in the tab, and it'll give you a link to take you there. And we hope that you will do that. Or you can get your copy here at Phantom History House when you book a stay.
Yes, we have a shelf full of them in there.
We do.
And thank you again to everybody for tuning in. Please come see us this spooky season. We still have some availability, including on Halloween night. So if you are looking for a fun getaway where we are all
those rooms are going to go, I think. So if you want to be here, book your room, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got our costume party and everything on our events page. So check it out. Hopefully we'll see you this spooky season. And Carla, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us, sharing your expertise that I know I've taken advantage of, as well as like Valerie has said as well in the chat. So we appreciate what you're doing and keep fighting the good fight for us. We appreciate it.
Thank you. It was wonderful. Appreciate it.
Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next Wednesday night at 7 Eastern.
All right. Bye everybody.
Thanks everybody.